Welcome back to our Teach Out on Concussions. We're joined today by Faith Harper, a soccer player from the University of Michigan. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So if you can orient the viewers, where you're from, how you ended up at Michigan, and then when you started playing soccer and kind of your progress that brought you here.
I'm from Southern California. I ended up at Michigan via families from here, and second to none education, great soccer, visited, it was a great environment, just kind of fell in love with it. Started playing soccer at 4, so it's been quite the journey from then.
And then, so maybe talk about the education surrounding concussion that you received. Probably not a whole lot at age 4, but maybe when did you first were first exposed to concussion, and then how that education has changed over that time course?
So I was first exposed to concussions and the repercussions of that around age 16. A teammate of mine got a pretty serious concussion during a game. Out of school for 6 weeks, no activity for a long time. But there was never really any formal education about it until I got here my freshman year. We did a whole, an hour seminar about concussions and the seriousness of it, and things that can happen due to not reporting concussions or just kind of waving them off as a headache or something. Yeah.
When you look back on your career, can you think of times when you say, I wasn't educated at the time, nobody's fault on that, but I probably had a concussion but didn't know it, and now you can look back and kind of identify that. Did that happen to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably a number of times as well.
Do any of those instances stand out in your mind as something that that experience that you can kind of go, oh yeah, that for sure was one?
My senior year in high school, I was playing in a soccer game, one of my last club games, and took a knock to the back of the head. Felt kind of weird afterwards, driving home, felt kind of a little bit out of it, but then the next morning I woke up pretty nauseous, very bad headache, and I don't know, I chalked it up to just being sick and not understanding that it was probably a concussion, and had no one really to talk to during the game after getting hit. There was no athletic trainer on site, and no one kind of to say after the game or the next day, hey, this is, something's up, this doesn't feel right. So.
And then how long do you recall having symptoms from that injury?
From that one, probably about a week.
Okay.
So.
And did you go right back in to practice and playing a day or two after?
Yeah.
And so just nonstop. Always the competitor, always wanted to be on the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then, so that was in high school. What about since your time at Michigan? You mentioned a little bit the education has changed. We have great athletic medicine here, so I know there's an athletic trainer available at all your sessions. Any injuries during practices or games here that you'd like to talk about?
None during practice or games, but I was training at home during Christmas break, and I suffered a concussion there. Immediately called my athletic trainer, told me what to do from that point on, and got back here, and we kind of just, went through the steps, the concussion protocol once I got back. So.
And what were, if you can recall, what were some of the guidance that your athletic trainer gave you, things to do, not do while you were at home when this was going on?
Low stimulation, don't be on my phone all the time, don't watch too much TV, don't even listen to too much music. I had a little bit of whiplash as well, so just not to go crazy, do anything, just kind of relax and wait till I got back to school to kind of figure things out. So.
Okay. And then once you returned to school, what was the protocol that you went through? What type of testing was done, or what was the evaluation like?
So we did a few tests when I got back. It was a couple computer tests about, flipping cards over, which cards have you seen, which cards haven't you seen, a couple balance tests, couple reaction tests, kind of the stuff you should be able to do, but probably aren't able to do while concussed. Right. So, and then took it real slow. Started out biking. It's like a little low level bike, and then jogging, and then slowly worked my way back into training with the team.
Okay. So. And then how long did that process from the time of the injury until you were cleared to go back to sport, no restrictions? How long was that process for you?
Process to full go was probably about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Since injury till getting back into the team.
So a little bit different than when you were in high school,
Yeah.
managing it yourself.
Right.
A couple days.
Yeah, it's a little slowed down.
Yeah. Any residual effects from either of those? Do you wake up and like, where did this headache come from? Or anything like that?
No. It's because I think the most recent one was handled properly, so I think that minimized the residual effects pretty well.
So with soccer, we commonly get this question, does heading cause concussion? In your experience, maybe yourself or maybe teammates, have you ever seen just routine heading? Any deleterious effects from that?
Not personally, and they teach you, heading properly won't give you a concussion, but I have seen, someone gets hit top of the head pretty hard off of a punt or a goal kick. It probably will sting a bit.
Okay.
I don't know about actual concussions, but like nothing I've seen recorded from a header.
Okay.
But yeah.
So we see just from our side, the research side of it, we see routine heading typically is not a problem. There is the random, somebody gets hit full force from a few meters away. Largely, it's two athletes going up for the same head ball.
Right.
And it's that collision that causes it. So it's more head-to-head and less head-to-ball type of activity. So what's the conversation? So this idea of kind of repeated heading or even multiple concussions in soccer and other sports for that matter, a lot of conversation about it now, from a research and policy standpoint about potential for long-term effects. What's the conversation with your teammates, maybe on the women's team, the men's team, around it? Are there concerns from the athlete perspective?
Not really. I would say it's just kind of, we've been playing this game for a very long time, and heading just comes with it. So we haven't really thought too much like, oh, if I had one too many balls, we're going to get concussions. It's just, as long as we do it properly, I think we'll be fine. But not too much conversation, I think.
Okay. From your perspective, from the athlete perspective, are there things that can be done, not so much at Michigan or similar programs with a lot of resources available, but maybe at the youth league or maybe even adult leagues for that matter, that can be done to better educate, or there's things that can be done to make the sport safer?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like people think concussion is just, it has to be this huge hit and like this huge catastrophic event. But it can happen like very unexpectedly, and not everybody knows that. And at any level, it can be pretty serious. Like it doesn't only just like happen to Division I athletes. It can happen to anybody. So I think kind of starting that conversation among all levels is really important for everybody's safety and well-being.
Right. So certainly, from your experience starting at age 4, but not really learning about anything, and it sounds informal for that matter, when your teammate had a concussion at age 16, maybe some more formal education in the middle there would be beneficial to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Faith, you talked about your experience in high school where you had this injury and there was no one to report to, and maybe some lack of awareness at that time. But more maybe now at the collegiate setting, athletes want to compete. And they may hide symptoms, signs and symptoms, so they can continue that. Can you talk about, from the athlete perspective, why that is, why not just immediately report, get it managed, and then get back out when it's safe?
Yeah, I know a lot of times it is, this is very competitive at this level, so it's the fear of kind of stepping out and not being able to like continually prove yourself, and also just you never know how long it's going to take with a concussion. That's the thing. As well as like you think you can just push through it, but you really can't. But I think mainly it's just not wanting to be out and just having the opportunity to compete, especially when it's not this like tangible injury. Like it's not a broken ankle, it's not a broken arm. It's just, it's your brain, which is even more scary, but people don't understand that.
Sure.
So I think from a competition standpoint, it's probably the biggest reason.
And along those lines, have you ever felt pressure from coaches or parents or administrators? Just kind of, let's just brush that off. You're okay. You can keep going.
No, the complete opposite, actually. Because I think, your coaches, your parents, your trainers, it's their job to look out for you. So they're the ones that are pushing mostly to get it done early and get ahead on this, these concussions. So. any injury, but concussion especially.
Yeah, for sure. Faith, thanks for coming into our studio today and joining us for this discussion. We appreciate your time.
Of course, thank you so much for having me.
And thank you to our viewers. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to continuing this discussion.